I know it's not quite 1:30, but you're here and I'm here, so why don't we get started? I'm Dale Dougherty. I'm founder of Maker Faire, and how's Maker Faire for you today? This is the warm edition. This is Claire Whitmer as a product manager on Maker Share, and we're here to talk about Maker Share as a new platform we've launched this summer. But I want to give you I'll give you a little context of it, and then I'll turn it over to Claire and let her demonstrate it a bit for you. We have a booth right in the corner over there for Maker Share that you can come by, sign up, and get some more information about it. So there's a couple of things that we were thinking about with Maker Share. One is we have so many makers here at a Maker Faire. How would you find one on Tuesday morning when you go home? You know, that person that did this and that, you know? And it's we have today over 225 Maker Fairs around the world in 48 countries, and I can't even go to all of them. So how do we begin to collect the projects that those makers are doing and put it in a context where they can find each other and people can find them? That was sort of the original idea. But it sort of dovetails with another idea. I visit a lot of maker spaces, and I see a lot of cool projects in maker spaces, and I go, how come I knew nothing about that project? That makers sometimes do all the hard work of making and then don't tell anyone about it? It's a shame. So one of the reasons for creating Maker Faire was to flush projects out of spaces and into a public space where other people could see them and give them feedback and talk to them about it. And so we don't know how much making goes on in America and around the world because people are often very private about it. But I think if I think of both where we're headed and what we've accomplished so far in the maker movement, there's two kind of important strands. One is sort of economic opportunity and creating an economy that more of us get to participate in meaningfully and to have more control over that. And the second, I think, is related to that is education, and having an education opportunities that are more meaningful and purposeful and reflect the kind of future that we're going to live in. You know, what I'm happiest about Maker Faire is, and you can't miss it, is all the kids running around. And you know, if I can infect them with something here at Maker Faire that gets them to go back into their home and their schools and their communities to make things and create things, I think the world will be a better place. That's our fundamental premise behind what we're doing. But Maker Share sort of gives them also an opportunity to create a portfolio of that work. So anybody who comes to Maker Faire will have a project portfolio. I did this, I did that. And so if you were looking at a young person and they worked in a maker space, you know, it's like playing a sport or playing music. You know, if you're a sport, you go on the field and you play a game, and there's a record of that. If you are in music, you do recitals and other things, and people come out and see you, and there's a record of your participation. So that's what we're trying to do for makers. But we think it's valuable in two ways. One is increasingly schools like MIT, but I think generally speaking, STEM schools like engineering are going to begin looking at portfolios of student work, not just transcripts, not just what they did in school, but also what they did outside of school. MIT currently has a maker portfolio option. So we hope that students will begin creating that portfolio, and they can really just send a link to their portfolio then, so they've already created that. And I think the importance of that, which almost relates to the economic opportunity, is there are a lot of people that are really good at doing something that may not be the best in math or the best in a particular grade, and that they don't always get that opportunity to go to that college. So if I can get colleges to start looking at the commitment, the dedication, and the talent that we see in people, I think we'll change universities, but I think more importantly we'll change the world of work at that time. We see, I think one of the benefits in the technology community has been that, you know, sites like GitHub, programmers share their work. And people can find that programmer because that work is visible. So my goal for the maker community is to begin us sharing online that work so that people can find you. And it might be we need help in one thing or another, but it may be that they're looking for someone who knows drones or 3D printers or has a particular skill set in health, that they can be discovered now and create opportunities for them. But makers also need to find each other to be able to accomplish some of the things we do. The last element of the Maker Share platform is something that we worked on Alex, and I want Alex to come on up and give a few words after Claire speaks. But is the idea of missions. And we wrote about this recently in Make Magazine, but in many ways, you not only learn to make things and create projects, but how could you see yourself as having a mission in life, or going on missions to accomplish things, perhaps to help other people? That you may see yourself in training, for a mission, and you're waiting for that mission to find you, or you find that mission. And I think a lot of makers do that here. I was talking to a group here of, we just had this horrible set of disasters in the Caribbean, South Florida, and in Houston. And that rebuilding process is going to take a long time. And I will bet we're not using the technologies that we have here for digital fabrication to rebuild Houston, but we should be. And we're not using the skills that are in this community to make that happen faster, at an agency like FEMA. So how could we do that? And I don't have an answer, but I think there could be a mission to go help the undocumented immigrants who won't get government assistance to rebuild, to help other parts, of those communities that will struggle getting materials. Bill Young of ShopBot had an idea, start collecting ideas of what to do with the debris that's left over from the hurricanes. How could you use that as a building material rather than as landfill? So we're a creative, talented community of people that I think we want to begin to identify missions that all of us can participate in. And that, I think, as a young person, that allows you to accomplish something in the world that's very meaningful. And I think for all of us, to be able to make with some kind of purpose or some kind of goal in mind and helping others is terribly important. So that's kind of the context we're working on MakerShare. If you're an educator and you have a makerspace, we'd love to see you think about putting your students' work up there after they've made things, or even as they begin to make things, to document their projects. Eventually, we don't have it today, but I think we'll be able to organize it by that makerspace. And again, the example is, if you go to a school website and you have a makerspace, I'd like to see published what the projects were that were created in that makerspace. I think it's how we determine the value of that makerspace. What are students actually able to do? So let me turn it over to Claire, who will give you a demo. And Claire has done a remarkable job bringing this together. I should also thank Intel, who's been a partner in MakerShare and helping us get this. And they kind of had an interesting problem of, they do a lot of mission-like challenges around the world, like 18 different countries, and they didn't have a platform to start bringing that together. So we're working with them, and we're seeing makers coming in from Korea and other countries sharing their projects as well. So Claire Whitmer.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought I saw one of my shirts out there somewhere, but now she's gone. But if you come back, I'll give you a cool MakerShare shirt. So MakerShare is a digital community that we launched right after Maker Faire Bay Area. This is our first opportunity to introduce it to the New York community, and we're in the booth right across there with the blue tent to show you in more detail and help you sign up. So the idea is very simple. It's a social network that's tuned specifically for makers. As product manager, I often hear that people don't necessarily want to share their projects on their Facebook channel because their Facebook channel is for their families and their friends who are not necessarily interested in makers. But you come to an event like this and you want to connect with people that you have met, and you go home, and how do you connect with them? So we like to call it Maker Faire 365 days a year. It's the same purpose as you come to Maker Faire. It's to meet people, it's to connect with people, it's to show and tell your projects, and it's to connect with opportunities, just like you come here to New York or any other Maker Faire. So the idea is really simple at makershare.com. And here, for example, when we talk about portfolios and projects, this is what we're looking at. So this young woman and her partner are here this weekend. They're right around the corner, in fact, and they have and now my Wi-Fi is not going to cooperate. Good. And they have this project, If I Ride VR. So this is their project. It's a project sharing site, kind of blog-like. I like to call it Instagram Plus for makers because we've tried to set the bar very low to make it super simple for you to enter your projects. If you know how to put something on YouTube, you know how to type, you can use MakerShare. So she's included a video. She's included the story, project story of what she's done. Here are some steps. She's also included just a little bit of how-to information. So again, we've kept the requirements very low for you to be able to talk about your project. And when we talk about the project story, those words are very intentional because what we're interested in the most is what your project says about you as a person. What inspired you? What resources did you have available to you? What was the context for starting this project for you? What did you learn while you were making it? And I always like to say that in a portfolio, a failed project belongs just as much as a successful project. A lot of the project sites are about the ta-da moment, and those are great. And when you build something you're really proud of, then you want to put that in your portfolio too. But a portfolio says as much about your what you've learned from your failures as your successes. And the word portfolio is used very intentionally because it's a process of reflection on your work and how did you learn and how did you approach your work. And we're interested in that part of the project story as much as we are interested in the steps, although we support that too. So then if you were here at Maker Faire and you saw this project and you went home and you're like, oh, Jayoon, I was talking to her, I wanted to talk to her some more about her project, then this is a way for you to connect to her. A lot of makers come to events like this, especially maybe a female maker does not want to give out her private email to everybody at a show, but you still want to stay connected to the community. So this is a way for you to message her, to follow whatever social network she's decided to point you to learn a little bit more about her, and then of course to see her projects. So that's the sum of the idea. These projects also can be collaborative. So this is a project that she did with her partner, Gayi. And so this goes in both of their portfolios. We support up to 7 makers per project right now. And they have collaborative editing rights, so they can work on it together. Then, as also Dale was talking about, we have what we call missions. Because we are Make, and often companies and makers come to us and have cool ideas, we are able to connect makers with opportunities in the community because we are the hub of the community. So this is a company, Z-Wave, that wants to reach out beyond their current user base to reach into makers and give them opportunities. This is a smart home challenge, and if you win it, they'll take you to Las Vegas with them and give you a spot in their CES booth. So for a certain kind of makers, that's a very valuable opportunity, and we've connected you with it. But we're also interested in this mission, Making It School. This is the one that I'm really emphasizing this weekend because I want to talk to young makers at 13 and above. This is for middle school and high school students, and all you have to do is have made something amazing in your school makerspace or any public makerspace, and we will donate to the winner $1,000 in their name to their makerspace. That's something incredibly valuable to a young maker in terms of the social recognition, and then again, that project is in their portfolio. I know he wants to give Alex a minute to talk. This is our latest feature. So we just launched this 2 days before the fair, kind of in a rush. So we only have 2. And here's Conservation XLabs. Alex is the founder, sitting right there. Their motto is exponential conservation. So they are a member of the community at that level, and you can learn more about them, connect to their website, send them email. And here is Alex's profile that I made for him. I'm sure he doesn't like that picture, but you could change it.
I like Cassie's picture better.
So that's the sum up of MakerShare. If you'd like to see more or sign up, head for our booth and I'll take your email. I'll give you a cool MakerShare t-shirt. Alex, if you want to come up for a minute.
Let's give her a round of applause because this is pretty amazing, right? How are you guys doing? I'm sorry, what? All right, better. Come on, we're at Maker Faire. We're at the World Maker Faire. How awesome is that? So my name's Alex. I founded a company called Conservation XLabs. I was the chief scientist at USAID, which is the world's biggest bilateral development agency, and I've been doing nothing but working on some of these grand challenges that face us. And right now we're particularly focused on extinction. And the one thing that I want to sort of echo what Dale has said is that we need you guys. We need you to actually, the people who are at this meeting, the generation that's coming up now, are actually the people that are going to help us solve things like climate change and extinction and the environmental problems we have around water and food security. All of that requires us to work together because there's a fundamental problem. Conservation is filled with people like me who are conservation biologists, and that's not going to be enough. We need the engineers, we need the hackers, we need to take advantage of this incredible democratization of science and technology. And that's why we actually believe deeply in terms of the community that Make has been able to build and MakerShare builds as a way of being able to solve problems. I want to just point out something that we do. If you go to our site, Conservation X Labs and Conservation X, we're partnered with places like the Department of Interior and WWF and other organizations to put forward challenges around conservation that we want the engineering community to work on in a collaborative manner, and we want you to put those things on MakerShare. We can't do this by ourselves. The conservation community has existed doing this for 30 years, and we still haven't solved the sixth extinction. We still haven't made progress, and with 9.6 billion people on this planet by 2050, it's only going to get worse. So we have to think smarter, more creatively, and this is the epicenter of creativity. So I hope to see you guys. Check out our profile, check out what we're doing, make your own profiles, help us solve some of these problems together.
Hey, thanks, Alex. That's great. Thank you very much. Well, that's pretty much our presentation on MakerShare Day. We'll hang around if there are questions. But, you know, I think as Alex is saying, that we need new models for solving big problems. And we really have to work across borders and cultures and languages to be able to solve these problems in ways that, you know, businesses and governments have not been able to address this. And I think I'd love to see the young people really see this as an opportunity, an outcome that they can participate more broadly. So get involved with MakerShare, help us spread the word, and you know, honestly, spread the word about the Maker movement to people. As many people as we have here this weekend, we're not touching everybody. There are lots of people, let's Maker movement, let's Maker Faire, who are makers. But I think if you're here, you begin to sense what the value and what the potential is of this community, and we're here to kind of help realize that. So thank you very much. Take care.